Modern dating feels like a constant performance for approval. You chase likes, matches, and validation, yet genuine connection remains just out of reach. But what if the key to unlocking real attraction was not in learning new tricks, but in rediscovering an ancient philosophy of inner strength? This is the surprising power of Stoicism. We are going to explore 25 Stoic frames, which are simply mental models for thinking and acting. These are not about manipulation or control. They are about building an unshakable character that naturally commands respect and admiration. By the end of this, you will understand how to cultivate a presence where feminine energy feels safe to open up and flourish, creating a dynamic of harmony instead of friction. How will a 2,000-year-old philosophy change the way you approach your very next conversation? A man who needs nothing from a woman is the most powerful man she will ever meet. This is the heart of the first Stoic frame, the unshakable frame of self-validation. It begins with a simple but profound shift. You stop looking for others to tell you that you are enough, and you start knowing it for yourself. The ancient Stoics called this the inner citadel. Think of it as a fortress within your own mind, a place of absolute peace and self-assurance that no external opinion can ever breach. When your sense of worth is built on the shaky ground of likes, matches, and compliments, you are constantly at the mercy of others. You become needy, always waiting for the next hit of validation to feel okay. And neediness is perhaps the single greatest killer of genuine attraction. It signals that you are not a source of strength but a drain on her energy. Now consider the man who has built this inner citadel. His mood does not swing based on a text message that was not replied to. His plans do not crumble because of a cancelled date. He is grounded in his own purpose and his own values. He is not indifferent, but he is independent. This creates a magnetic pull. A woman senses that here is a man who offers presence, not pressure. He is not trying to extract validation from her, so she feels safe to let her guard down and be her true feminine self. Her submission is not about being dominated. It is a willing and natural gift to a man who has already conquered his own inner world. How do you start building this citadel? You begin by catching yourself every single time you seek external approval. You pause before you post something just for the reaction. You notice when you change your opinion to fit in, and in that pause you make a different choice. You reaffirm your own standards to yourself. This is not an overnight project, it is the daily work of a lifetime. But each brick you lay makes you more solid, more present, and infinitely more attractive. So how do you move this concept from a philosophical ideal into the fabric of your daily life? It begins with a pen and a blank page. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most powerful men, did not write his meditations for publication. He wrote them as a private journal, a daily practice of reminding himself of his own principles. Your version of this does not need to be poetic. Each morning or evening, take 5 minutes to write down 1 or 2 character traits you are actively building. Is it integrity? Is it courage? Is it discipline? Write not about what you want to achieve in the world, but about who you are committed to being, regardless of what the world gives you back. This simple act reinforces that your value is defined by your actions and your character, not by external results. Next, set goals that are entirely within your control. Instead of aiming to get a date with a specific person, which depends entirely on her unpredictable will, set a goal to approach one conversation with genuine curiosity and no expectation. Your success is measured by whether you had the courage to initiate, not by whether you got a number. Your fulfillment comes from honoring your own standard of bravery, an outcome no one can take from you. This shifts your focus from extraction to expression. You are no longer performing for a reward. You are expressing who you are, and then there is the practice of indifference, which is often misunderstood. Stoic indifference does not mean you are cold or unfeeling. It means you learn to receive both praise and criticism from a dating prospect with the same calm detachment. If she compliments you, you receive it graciously, but do not let it inflate your sense of self. If she criticizes or rejects you, you consider it for any useful truth, but you do not let it dismantle the inner citadel you are building. Your self-worth becomes like a mountain. The weather of other people's opinions, whether sunny praise or stormy criticism, blows across its slopes but does not change the mountain's fundamental nature. When you implement these practices, something profound shifts in your interactions. You stop needing a woman to complete you, and you start inviting her to complement the life you are already building. This is the fertile ground where true attraction grows. A man without a purpose is like a ship adrift, tossed by every wave of opinion and every wind of emotion. This is why the second frame is so critical, the frame of purpose-driven action. The Stoics believed that our highest good is to live in accordance with our nature, which for a rational human being means to live with virtue and purpose. They called this your logos, your unique reason for being. And when a man is fully committed to his mission, it creates a gravitational pull that is almost impossible to resist. Think about the energy in a room. A man who is unsure of his next move, who looks to others for what to do or say, radiates uncertainty. He is asking a silent question, seeking permission or direction. Now picture a man who is deeply engaged in his own purpose. He is not arrogant or loud, but he moves with a quiet certainty. He knows where he is going. He is not waiting for someone to give his life meaning. He is already building it. This is not about having a fancy job title or a list of impressive achievements. It is about having a direction, a set of principles you are actively living by. Your purpose could be building a business, mastering a craft, creating art, or serving your community. The content of the mission matters less than the depth of your commitment to it. This commitment makes you a source of direction and stability. In the presence of such a man, a woman does not feel the burden of having to provide his life with meaning. She feels invited into a story that is already compelling. She can relax into her feminine energy because he is firmly grounded in his masculine direction. His purpose becomes the ship, and she is free to be the ocean that supports its journey, to be the wind in its sails, not the captain desperately steering it. Her submission is a natural response to his clear, calm leadership. She willingly follows because he is going somewhere worth following. How do you find this purpose if you feel adrift? You start by listening to your deepest values, not the noisy demands of the world. Ask yourself, what problem would I solve even if I were never paid for it? What activity makes me lose all track of time? What injustice in the world stirs a fire in my chest? Your purpose is often hidden in the answers to these questions. Then you align your daily actions with that discovery. A single step taken with purpose is more attractive than 1,000 steps taken in a directionless wander. When your life is a declaration of your mission, you stop asking for attention and start commanding respect through your very presence. Discovering your purpose is not a single grand revelation, but a quiet excavation of your own character. The Stoics had a powerful tool for this, a nightly ritual known as the view from above. Before you sleep, take a few moments to look back on your day. Not to judge, but to observe. Ask yourself, did my actions today align with the man I aspire to be? Were my choices driven by my core values or by the desire for comfort and approval? This is not about self-criticism, it is about calibration. You are simply checking your internal compass, ensuring you are still heading toward your true north. Over time, this practice reveals patterns. You will notice which activities leave you feeling empty and which leave you feeling whole. Your purpose begins to emerge not as a distant destination, but as the quality of the path you are walking right now. Communicating this purpose requires no grand speeches. In fact, boasting about your mission is often a sign of insecurity, a need for others to validate its importance. A man who is truly rooted in his purpose speaks of it only when relevant, and even then he focuses on the work itself, not on his role in it. He does not say, "I am building a great company." He might instead share a problem he is trying to solve, a challenge he finds fascinating. His energy is directed outward toward his mission, not inward toward his ego. This subtle shift is magnetic. It shows he is dedicated to something larger than himself. The final and most crucial step is embodiment. Your purpose must be woven into the fabric of your daily life, visible in your smallest actions. It is the discipline of waking up early to work on your craft when no one is watching. It is the integrity you show in a business deal when you could easily cut corners. It is the patience you practice when teaching a skill to someone else. This consistent action is the proof. It transforms your purpose from a story you tell into a truth you live. When a woman sees this, she is not just hearing about your mission, she is witnessing your character in motion. She sees a man whose inner world matches his outer actions, a man of substance and unwavering commitment. This authenticity is what makes your mission a central part of your identity, and it is this wholeness that others find irresistibly compelling. A calm harbor does not fear the storm. This is the profound strength of emotional mastery, the third Stoic frame. The goal is not to become an emotionless robot, a common misunderstanding of Stoicism. It is to become the master of your judgments, the captain of your inner world, so that external chaos cannot capsize your peace. The Stoics taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about those events. A delayed text message is just a delayed text message. It is your judgment that she is losing interest, that you are not good enough, that transforms a simple fact into a source of anxiety and neediness. When you learn to pause between the event and your reaction, you reclaim a power that most men willingly surrender. In the heat of an argument or a moment of high stress, a man who maintains his composure projects a fortress-like stability. He does not escalate with sharp words. He does not crumble under pressure. He listens, he processes, and he responds from a place of principle, not from a place of triggered emotion. Can you feel the safety that kind of presence creates? A woman in this space knows that her own emotions, her occasional storms of feeling, will not be met with a matching hurricane from you. She feels that her vulnerability will be held in a container of strength, not shattered by a reactive ego. This safety is the prerequisite for her genuine submission. It is not a fearful surrender, but a conscious choice to open up to a man who has proven he can handle the weight of her truth without buckling. Her emotional fluency can flourish because your emotional mastery provides the steady ground. How do you cultivate this? You start with the daily practice of the pause. The next time you feel a surge of anger, jealousy, or anxiety in an interaction, consciously take one deep breath. In that single breath, you create a gap. In that gap, you can ask the Stoic question, is this thing within my control? Her mood, her past, her reaction, these are not. Your response, your breath, your next words, these are. By focusing your energy only on what you can control, you drain the emotional charge from the situation. You stop being a puppet whose strings are pulled by external events and become the one who holds the strings to your own inner state. This is the quiet power that makes a man not just attractive but irreplaceable. This mastery of your inner world rests on three practical pillars, each a tool for building that unshakable calm. The first is a shift in perspective the Stoics called the view from above. When a wave of jealousy or insecurity hits you during a date, or when you feel anxious waiting for a reply, pause for just a moment and pull your mind upward. Imagine looking down on the entire scene from a great height. See the two of you as small figures in a vast city, on a spinning planet in an endless cosmos. From this vantage point, how significant is that one text message? How monumental is that momentary awkward silence? This is not about diminishing your experience, but about recontextualizing it. The emotional charge dissipates because you see the event for what it truly is, a single brushstroke on a massive canvas. You regain the composure that comes from knowing this moment, however intense, is just a small part of a much larger story. The second practice is negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. This is the conscious and careful practice of imagining what could go wrong, not to feed fear but to disarm it. Before a date, instead of just fantasizing about a perfect connection, take 30 seconds to calmly consider the possibility of rejection or a dull evening. Mentally walk through the scenario. If she says she is not interested, what would your calm, principled response be? You would thank her for her time, wish her well, and continue with your evening, your inner citadel intact. By pre-accepting the potential downside, you do two powerful things. You rob the event of its power to shock you emotionally, and you pre-plan a virtuous response. You are no longer a passenger on an emotional roller coaster. You are the engineer who has already seen the tracks and knows how to steer. The final and most immediate technique is the discipline of ascent. This is the moment-by-moment practice of not automatically agreeing with your initial passionate impressions. Your mind flashes a judgment: she is bored with me. That is the initial impression. The untrained mind immediately assents, believes it to be true, and plunges into a spiral of anxiety. The Stoic practitioner, however, catches that impression at the gate. He pauses and says, "Wait, is this impression an objective fact, or is it just one possible interpretation among many? Perhaps she is simply tired from a long day. Perhaps she is a quiet, thoughtful person." By withholding your immediate mental agreement from these knee-jerk reactions, you create a buffer zone between the event and your emotional world. You choose your response rather than being chosen by your reflexes. When you consistently apply these three tools, you stop being a reactor and start being an actor in your own life. Your presence becomes a steady, calming force that allows a woman's own emotional nature to feel seen and secure without ever threatening your own peace. Your word is your bond, a currency more valuable than any promise whispered in the dark. This brings us to the fourth frame, the frame of absolute integrity. For the Stoics, virtue was the sole good, and the heart of virtue is integrity, a seamless alignment between your inner principles and your outer actions. It is the quiet power of a man who does what he says he will do, not because someone is watching, but because he has to live with the man in the mirror. Think of the last time someone made you a small promise and then casually broke it. They said they would call at 8, and you hear from them at 10 with a flimsy excuse. That tiny fracture, however small, creates a whisper of doubt. Can this person be trusted with bigger things, with your heart, with your vulnerabilities? Now picture the opposite, a man who remembers the small details he mentioned in passing. He follows through on the casual offer to help you move a piece of furniture. His actions, even the minor ones, are consistent with his words. This creates a foundation of rock-solid trust. A woman in the presence of such a man feels a profound sense of psychological safety. She does not have to decode his messages or question his motives. She can relax into the relationship because the map of his character is accurate and reliable. His integrity assures her that his intentions are honorable and his presence is stable. This reliability is not flashy, but it is deeply, primally attractive. It signals a man who is whole, who is not at war with himself. Her submission in this context is a natural leaning into that safety, a confident surrender to a man whose word is an unbreakable contract. How do you cultivate this kind of unwavering integrity? It begins with a ruthless honesty in the smallest commitments you make, especially the ones you make to yourself. If you tell yourself you will go to the gym tomorrow, you go. If you promise to finish a project by Friday, you meet that deadline. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you are depositing trust into your own inner bank. You are building evidence for your own mind that you are a person who can be relied upon. This self-trust then radiates outward effortlessly. You are no longer trying to act with integrity. You simply are an integrated man. Your yes means yes, and your no means no, and that unwavering consistency becomes the bedrock upon which everything else is built. A disciplined desire is the ultimate paradox of attraction. The ancient Stoics drew a line in the sand, a distinction that separates a man of power from a man of desperation. On one side of the line are the things within your complete control, your judgments, your intentions, your efforts, your character. On the other side is everything else, the outcomes, the reactions of others, the feelings of a woman you are drawn to. A man who confuses these two realms gives his power away the moment he feels a spark of interest. He becomes attached to a specific outcome, to her saying yes, to her feeling a certain way about him. This attachment transforms his healthy desire into a gnawing need. He stops acting from a place of genuine expression and begins performing for a reward he cannot guarantee. His energy becomes heavy, expectant, and ultimately repelling. She senses the weight of his unmet need, a burden she never agreed to carry. The man of disciplined desire, however, stands firmly on his side of the line. He can want her company, he can appreciate her beauty and spirit, and he can pursue a connection with full, passionate effort. But his sense of self-worth, his inner peace, is never tied to her response. He wants, but he does not need. This subtle internal shift changes everything about his presence. He is free to be authentically himself, to be playful, to be curious, because his validation is not on the line. There is no performance, only a genuine invitation. This lack of desperation is profoundly attractive. It communicates that he is a complete person offering a connection, not an incomplete person seeking a completion. Her choice to engage with him feels like a gift freely given, not an obligation extracted by his neediness. Her submission is a response to his wholeness, a willing alignment with a man who is master of his own wants. How do you cultivate this discipline? You start by consciously auditing your desires before an interaction. Ask yourself, what is my intention here? Is it to express my interest and see if there is a mutual connection, an outcome within my control? Or is it to make her like me, an outcome entirely in her control? When your intention is rooted in expression, you remain the author of your actions. When it is rooted in a specific result, you become a beggar hoping for a coin. This is the daily practice of wanting with an open hand, holding your desires lightly enough that you can let go without losing yourself. Her attention is a precious gift, and a man who receives it with full presence offers a silent compliment she will never forget. The sixth frame is the frame of present moment focus, a direct application of the Stoic discipline of desire. The philosophy teaches that the past is gone and the future is not promised, leaving only the present moment as the true arena of your life. When you are with her, are you truly with her, or is your mind elsewhere, rehearsing your next witty line, worrying about how the date will end, or glancing at your phone? That divided attention is a subtle form of rejection. It tells her that the reality in front of you is not enough, that you are somewhere else chasing a phantom outcome. A man anchored in the now, however, listens with his entire being. He is not just waiting for his turn to talk. His eyes are not scanning the room for a better option. He is completely immersed in the conversation, noticing the small inflections in her voice, the way she smiles when she mentions a favorite memory. This quality of attention is incredibly rare and therefore incredibly powerful. It makes a woman feel like the most fascinating person in the world because in that moment for you, she is. You are not validating her to get something, you are valuing her for who she is right here, right now. This creates a profound sense of being seen and appreciated for her essence, not just her potential. In this space, her defenses soften. She feels safe to be more open, more expressive, more authentically herself. Her willingness to follow your lead is not a calculated decision. It is a natural flow toward the man who makes her feel so completely received. How do you cultivate this focus? You practice the art of the single task. When you are having a conversation, let that be the entire universe. If a distracting thought about work or a future plan arises, acknowledge it and gently return your attention to her words, to the color of her eyes, to the feeling of the chair beneath you. This is not about forcing concentration, but about releasing everything that is not part of this immediate experience. The Stoics called this living in accordance with nature, and there is nothing more natural than two people fully engaged with one another, creating a shared reality that is vibrant, immediate, and deeply connecting. This is where real intimacy is built, not in the planned future, but in the fully lived present. A man who is comfortable with discomfort holds a quiet power over his circumstances. The seventh frame is the frame of voluntary discomfort, a deliberate Stoic practice the ancients used to forge an unbreakable spirit. This is not about seeking pain for its own sake, but about intentionally choosing small, manageable hardships to inoculate yourself against the fear of them. You take the cold shower instead of the hot one. You walk instead of driving for a short errand. You choose a simple meal over an indulgent one. These are not acts of self-punishment, but exercises in self-mastery. Each one is a silent message to your own psyche, a reminder that your peace and your will are not dependent on perfect external conditions. You prove to yourself that you can handle less, and in doing so, you become infinitely more capable with what you have. This builds a reservoir of resilience that is unmistakable in a man's presence. When a minor inconvenience arises on a date, a sudden rainstorm, or a long wait for a table, the man who practices voluntary discomfort does not become irritable or frustrated. He is unfazed. He might even find humor in the situation, seeing it as a small adventure rather than a disruption of his plans. He is resourceful, adaptable, and calm. A woman observes this and sees a man who is not easily shaken by the unpredictable waves of life. She sees a capable protector, not in the archaic sense of fighting off danger, but in the modern, crucial sense of providing emotional and psychological stability. He demonstrates that he can handle pressure, that he can navigate chaos without losing his composure. This capability is a primal signal of a reliable provider, a man who can be counted on when things get difficult. Her feeling of safety deepens, and her willingness to lean into his leadership becomes a natural, almost instinctual response. She submits not to his authority, but to his demonstrated competence and unshakable calm. How do you begin this practice? Start with one small voluntary discomfort each day. Skip a meal you are looking forward to and sit with the feeling of hunger, recognizing it as a sensation, not an emergency. Take a route that involves a steep hill on your walk. In these moments, you are not depriving yourself. You are training your mind to find its strength independent of circumstance. You are building the inner fortitude that makes a man truly dependable, the kind of man a woman feels utterly secure in following. Most men listen with a sword in their hand, poised to interrupt, to correct, or to solve. The Stoic art is to listen with an open palm. This is the eighth frame, the frame of non-reactive listening, a practice rooted in the core Stoic belief that your first duty is to understand the world, not to demand it conform to your expectations. When a woman shares a frustration or a fear, the untrained masculine impulse is often to leap into action, to offer a solution, to fix the problem she has presented. While the intention might be good, the underlying message is often dismissive. It says your emotional state is a problem to be solved quickly so we can return to comfort. It centers your own need to be the provider of answers. The Stoic listener does something far more courageous. He simply creates a space of quiet attention. He absorbs her words, her feelings, the nuances of her experience without immediately formulating his own reply. He listens to understand her world, not to conquer it. This requires immense inner strength because it means temporarily setting your own ego aside. You are not listening to gather ammunition for your next clever point. You are listening to witness her reality. In that space of non-reactive presence, something magical happens. She feels truly heard, perhaps for the first time in a long while. She feels that her emotional world is not a burden to be managed, but a landscape to be explored with a trusted companion. This creates a level of emotional intimacy that no amount of problem-solving ever could. Her willingness to open up, to be vulnerable, to submit her inner world to your gaze, is a direct response to your demonstrated ability to hold it without judgment or immediate interference. It shows a strength that is not threatened by complexity or emotion, a calm that does not require the constant validation of being the one who has all the answers. How do you cultivate this? Begin by consciously placing your focus on the person speaking. When she talks, let your only goal be to fully comprehend what she is saying and, more importantly, what she is feeling. If you feel the urge to jump in with advice or a similar story of your own, take a silent breath instead. Ask a clarifying question that digs deeper into her experience. What was that like for you? How did that make you feel? This shifts the dynamic from a transactional exchange of problems and solutions to a relational exploration of her inner life. You become not a mechanic for her emotions, but a sanctuary for her truth. And in that sanctuary, her trust in you and her deep, willing alignment with your presence grows roots that no storm can break. A man who cannot be swayed by praise or crippled by criticism holds a power that is almost mythical in our modern world. This is the ninth frame, the frame of indifference to external opinion. The Stoics drew a clear and liberating line between what is yours and what is not. Your character, your judgments, your efforts, these are your property. The opinions, gossip, and approval of others, these are externals, completely outside the walls of your inner citadel. When you chase social validation, you hand over the keys to your own happiness to a fickle and unpredictable crowd. You become a leaf blown by the wind of every comment and like. But the man who has internalized this Stoic truth stands like an oak. His value is determined by his own internal scorecard, a private measure of his virtue and integrity. He dresses to express his own style, not to fit a trend. He speaks his truthful opinion in a conversation, even if it is unpopular. He pursues his mission with quiet dedication, unconcerned with whether others deem it impressive or not. This is not arrogance, which is often a noisy overcompensation for deep insecurity. This is a quiet, unshakable sovereignty. It is the confidence that comes from knowing you are living by a code that is yours alone. Can you feel the magnetic pull of such a man? He is not performing for an audience, so his energy is entirely his own, grounded and authentic. A woman senses this profound self-possession. She realizes that his attention, when he gives it, is a genuine gift, not a desperate bid for her approval. He is not looking to her to tell him he is attractive or successful, so she is free to simply enjoy his company without the pressure of managing his ego. His indifference to the world's noise makes his focus on her feel all the more valuable and real. Her submission is a response to this sovereignty, a willing alignment with a man who is master of his own self-image. To cultivate this, you must become a vigilant gatekeeper of your own mind. The next time you feel a pang of anxiety about what someone might think of your new idea or your choice in a partner, pause. Ask yourself the Stoic question, is this person's opinion within my control? The honest answer is always no. Then ask, does their opinion change the truth of who I am striving to be? The answer is always no. This simple mental exercise, repeated, builds a firewall against the chaos of external judgment. You start to live from the inside out, and that is the source of the most commanding and attractive presence a man can ever cultivate. A deep well does not beg for a single drop of rain. This is the quiet power of the 10th frame, the frame of gratitude and contentment. While the world chases more, the Stoic cultivates a profound appreciation for what is already present. This is not passive acceptance, but an active recognition of the wealth that already exists in your life. The practice is simple, yet its impact on your presence is transformative. Each day, you consciously acknowledge the things, both large and small, that you can be grateful for. the warmth of the sun, the taste of a good meal, the loyalty of a friend, the simple fact of being alive and capable of thought. This daily ritual rewires your brain from a state of lack to a state of abundance. You begin to feel genuinely rich in your current circumstances. A man who carries this inner abundance does not approach a relationship from a place of emptiness. He is not a half-empty cup seeking to be filled. He is an overflowing well offering refreshment from a source that never runs dry. His energy is one of generosity, not need. He gives his time, his attention, and his affection freely, not as an investment expecting a return, but as an expression of his own fullness. Can you feel the difference this creates for a woman? She senses that she is not being tasked with the impossible job of making you happy. She is not a member of your emotional rescue team. Instead, she feels she is being invited to add her own unique beauty to a life that is already rich and complete. Her presence becomes a delightful addition, not a desperate necessity. This removes an immense, often unspoken pressure from the connection. Her submission in this context is a joyful contribution to your already abundant world. It is the natural response to a man who appreciates what he has, making her feel that what she offers is truly valued, not urgently needed. To cultivate this, begin a nightly practice of noting 3 specific things you are grateful for that day. Write them down or simply reflect on them. It could be the way the light fell through your window, a moment of laughter, or a challenge you overcame with courage. This is not about ignoring your ambitions, but about grounding them in a foundation of present-moment thankfulness. When your inner world is a garden already in bloom, her presence becomes the most beautiful rose, cherished not because it completes the garden, but because it makes it even more magnificent. Your words can build walls or open doors, and the Stoics knew this power intimately. The 11th frame is the frame of clear and calm communication, a practice rooted in the virtue of wisdom. It is the art of expressing your boundaries, desires, and intentions with a tranquil honesty that neither attacks nor retreats. A man who masters this does not need to raise his voice to be heard, because his words carry the weight of his unwavering inner peace. Think of a ship's captain giving a calm order during a storm. The crew does not follow because he is shouting, but because his clarity in the chaos inspires absolute confidence. In your own life, this translates to stating a simple boundary without a long, apologetic explanation. It means expressing a desire directly without the needy energy of someone who fears a no. It is voicing your intentions for the relationship with a calm certainty that invites her into your world, rather than pleading for entry into hers. This clarity establishes a leadership frame that is not about domination, but about providing the psychological safety of knowing exactly where you stand. There is no guesswork, no decoding of mixed signals. A respectful woman, one who values her own peace, will feel a powerful pull to align with this masculine clarity. Her submission is not to your demands, but to the respectful, unambiguous structure you provide. It allows her to relax out of a defensive posture and into her natural, receptive state. How do you cultivate this Stoic communication? It begins with a moment of silence before you speak. In that pause, you ask yourself 3 questions. Is what I am about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This ancient filter, often attributed to Socrates, ensures your words are constructive and rooted in virtue, not in reactive emotion. When you need to set a boundary, state it as a simple fact about your own standards, not an accusation about her behavior. You do not say, "You are always late and it is disrespectful." Instead, you communicate from your inner citadel, saying, "Being on time is important to me. It is a sign of respect I both give and value." The first statement creates conflict, the second establishes a principle. The difference in energy is everything. One comes from a place of being offended, the other from a place of unwavering self-respect. She is not being forced to comply, she is being invited to meet you at your standard. A woman of character will not see this as a control attempt, but as a welcome map to the heart of a man who knows his own worth. Her willing alignment with your clear, calm communication is the ultimate sign that she trusts the captain to steer the ship. True strength is not measured by the force of your voice, but by the firmness of your principles. This is the heart of the 12th Stoic frame, the frame of assertiveness without aggression, a direct expression of the cardinal virtue of courage. The Stoic man understands that courage is not the absence of fear, but the judgment that something else is more important than fear. In this case, it is the integrity of your own boundaries and the clarity of your values that matter most. He stands for what is right, not against who is wrong. There is a profound difference between a man who asserts a boundary from a place of quiet self-respect and one who attacks from a place of bruised ego. The first is rooted in the internal, in his unwavering code. The second is a reactive lashing out, an attempt to control an external that has offended him. One commands respect, the other provokes resistance. For instance, suppose a woman you are dating consistently makes plans and then cancels at the last minute with a casual text. The aggressive response, fueled by frustration, might be to accuse her of being flaky or disrespectful. This immediately puts her on the defensive, creating a power struggle. The assertive, stoic response is calm and direct. You might say, "I enjoy our time together, and when plans change last minute, it disrupts my schedule and feels disrespectful of my time. In the future, I need more reliable commitments if we are going to make plans." Do you see the shift? The first statement is an attack on her character. The second is a clear, unemotional statement of your standard and the natural consequence of not meeting it. You are not demanding she change. You are simply stating the conditions under which you will continue to engage. This is not about controlling her behavior, but about governing your own participation. This calm firmness, devoid of emotional charge, is incredibly powerful. It demonstrates that your peace is not dependent on her actions, but that your participation is conditional on her respect. A woman of quality does not feel threatened by this. She feels challenged in the best possible way. She is presented with a clear choice to either rise to meet your standard of mutual respect or to step away. There is no ambiguity, no emotional manipulation, just a clean, principled line. Her voluntary compliance, her choice to honor your boundary, is then an act of respect for your self-respect. It is a submission to a principle you both now share, not a fearful surrender to your anger. This is how a man leads with courage, by having the bravery to state his needs clearly and the strength to uphold them peacefully, creating a relationship built on mutual respect rather than silent resentment. A river does not rush to the sea, it carves canyons through the patient persistence of its flow. This is the power of the 13th frame, the frame of patience and strategic delay. In a world screaming for instant results, the Stoic understands that true value is cultivated, not captured. Patience is not passive waiting, it is an active, strategic strength, the wisdom to know that some fruits only ripen with time. A man who can master this demonstrates a level of self-control that signals immense inner resources. He is not governed by his immediate impulses, whether for a business deal, a career milestone, or the pace of physical intimacy. This restraint is not about suppression, but about aligning his actions with a deeper, more meaningful timeline. He understands that the most profound connections are built on a foundation of trust and anticipation, not on hurried gratification. When you can delay your own desire for an immediate outcome, you communicate a powerful, silent message. You show that your sense of self-worth is not tied to a quick conquest. You are not a man governed by hunger, but by purpose. In the context of dating, this transforms the entire dynamic. Rushing physical intimacy often comes from a place of insecurity, a need to secure the connection and validate your own attractiveness. It places the focus on the transaction instead of the transformation, but the man who practices strategic delay shifts the focus entirely. He is genuinely invested in the journey of knowing her, of building emotional resonance and intellectual connection. He creates a space where anticipation can build, where every moment of connection feels earned and significant. For a woman, this is profoundly disarming and deeply attractive. She feels she is being pursued for her whole self, not just for a physical outcome. She senses your confidence, the quiet assurance of a man who knows what he wants is worth waiting for. This makes the eventual mutual step into intimacy not an expected transaction, but a celebrated milestone in a journey you are building together. Her submission in this context is a willing, eager gift, a natural culmination of the trust and value you have patiently built. It is infinitely more meaningful because it was not taken in haste but offered in its own perfect time. To cultivate this, practice inserting a conscious pause before you act on any strong impulse. Before sending that text fueled by longing, before pushing for a level of intimacy you feel anxious to secure, take a breath. Ask yourself the Stoic question: is this action driven by wisdom and respect or by fear and need? When you choose the path of patience, you are not denying your desires. You are honoring them enough to let them unfold with the dignity and depth they truly deserve. Your physical presence is the most immediate signal of your inner world. A body that is cared for with discipline and a mind that is sharpened with consistent learning are not just personal projects, they are the living, breathing proof of your self-respect. This is the 14th frame, the frame of physical and mental discipline, the Stoic ideal of a sound mind in a sound body. The ancient Stoics, from Musonius Rufus to Seneca, were adamant that philosophy is not just an abstract exercise. It must be embodied. Your daily habits are the translation of your principles into action. When you train your body, you are not merely building muscle. You are practicing the virtues of consistency, of enduring discomfort, of pushing past your perceived limits. You are telling yourself through action that you are worth the effort. This silent communication is broadcast to everyone you meet. A woman observes a man with a disciplined physique, and she does not just see aesthetics. She sees a man who has the willpower to commit to a long-term goal. She sees a man who respects the vessel he has been given. This speaks directly to a primal instinct. It signals a capable protector, a reliable partner who has the vitality and strength to navigate the challenges of life. It is a non-verbal declaration that you are a man who can handle things. But the discipline cannot stop at the gym. A strong body housing a dull mind is a beautiful shell with nothing inside. The Stoic man is equally committed to cultivating his mind. He reads widely, not to impress others at a party, but to understand the world more deeply and to sharpen his own thinking. He engages with challenging ideas, he learns new skills, he seeks out conversations that stretch him. This mental acuity makes him a fascinating partner. He has thoughts of his own, perspectives to share, a rich inner world that she can explore. The combination is utterly compelling. A physically capable man who is also mentally sharp embodies a rare wholeness. He is both anchor and sail, providing both stability and direction. His self-care is not vanity, it is virtue in action. It shows that he is not waiting for someone to come and fix his life. He is actively building it piece by piece, day by day. A woman in the presence of such a man feels an immense sense of security and attraction. She admires the discipline because it reflects a deep self-love, and she is drawn to the wholeness because it promises a partnership of equals where she can be inspired and challenged. Her admiration is not for the muscles or the knowledge alone, but for the undeniable character they represent. The disciplined man does not need to ask for respect. He commands it simply by how he moves through the world. A date is not a performance to be graded, but a conversation to be explored. This is the essence of the 15th frame, the frame of outcome independence. It is the final, practical mastery of the disciplined desire we discussed earlier, where your entire focus shifts from what you can get to the quality of what you are giving. A man who is attached to a specific outcome, whether it is a kiss goodnight or a second date, places his entire sense of worth on a result he cannot control. His mind is in the future, anxiously calculating his next move to steer events toward his desired conclusion. This creates a subtle tension in his body, a hesitation in his laughter, a neediness in his eyes that she can feel as a constant low pressure. He is not truly with her, he is with the ghost of a future he desperately needs her to validate. The Stoic man, grounded in outcome independence, does the opposite. He invests his entire effort into the one thing he can control, his own actions in the present moment. He focuses on being engaging, curious, and authentically himself. He tells a story because it is a good story, not because it will impress her. He asks a question out of genuine interest, not as a tactical maneuver. His success is measured by his own integrity in the interaction, not by her reaction to it. This internal shift unlocks a relaxed, almost magnetic authenticity. Because he is not afraid of losing a result he never owned, he is free to be playful. He can tease gently, he can laugh fully, he can embrace the awkward silences without needing to frantically fill them. He is not trying to be funny, he is simply enjoying himself, and humor becomes a natural byproduct of that relaxed state. This is the great paradox the Stoics understood so well. By releasing your grip on the specific outcome, you become infinitely more likely to create a positive one. Your lack of desperation is the very thing that makes you desirable. A woman feels this freedom intensely. She senses there is no hidden agenda, no silent scorecard being kept. She feels seen as a person, not as a stepping stone to a goal. In this pressure-free environment, her own defenses can melt away, allowing a genuine connection to form organically. Her choice to see you again, to lean in, to say yes, feels like her own authentic desire, not a response to a well-executed script. Her willing submission to the flow of the connection is a gift to the man who gave her the space to offer it freely. A ship's captain is not the most important person on board, he is the most responsible. This is the core of the 16th frame, the frame of generous leadership. Stoicism was never a philosophy of selfishness, but of social duty, of contributing to the common good. In the context of a relationship, this translates into a leadership style that is not about wielding power over your partner, but about assuming responsibility for the well-being of the shared space you create together. It means you make decisions not based on a whim, but with a calm consideration for what is best for the couple as a unit. Where to go for dinner is a small example, but it reveals the pattern. The man who constantly defers, saying, "I do not know, what do you want?" places the mental burden of decision-making entirely on her. This is not politeness, it is an abdication of leadership. The generous leader, however, considers her preferences, perhaps vetoes a place he knows has poor food, and then offers a confident, simple choice between two good options. He says, "I was thinking we could try the new Italian place or that quiet spot with the patio, which sounds better to you." The decision is made, the mental load is lifted from her, and she feels cared for, not commanded. This extends to far more significant matters, from financial planning to navigating family conflicts. He steps forward to handle difficult conversations. He takes the lead in planning for the future, and he consistently acts as a calm protector of the relationship's peace and integrity. His leadership is a form of service. He sees it as his role to create a container of safety and stability, so that her feminine energy can feel free to be expressive, creative, and vulnerable. When a woman sees this in action, when she witnesses a man who confidently steers the ship through both calm and rough seas, her trust deepens exponentially. She feels she can truly relax into the partnership because she knows the man at the helm is competent, caring, and committed to their mutual journey. Her submission is not a loss of power, but a profound sense of relief. It is the conscious choice to hand the wheel to a captain who has proven, through his generous and responsible actions, that he will navigate with her best interests at the heart of every course he charts. A man who knows everything has stopped growing. The 17th frame is the frame of humility and teachability, a profound Stoic strength that recognizes the limits of our own understanding. The greatest Stoic teachers, from Epictetus to Marcus Aurelius, constantly reminded themselves of their own fallibility, viewing life as a continuous classroom, not a stage for proving their brilliance. This is not about false modesty or a lack of confidence. It is the quiet security of a man who is so grounded in his core worth that he does not need to be right all the time. He can openly admit when he is wrong. He can say those three powerful words, "I was mistaken," without his entire identity crumbling. He can listen to a different perspective, even from his partner, and genuinely consider its merit. This displays a non-fragile masculinity that is incredibly rare and deeply attractive. A man who cannot be corrected is a man who is brittle, ready to shatter at the first challenge to his ego. But a man who is teachable signals that his self-worth is built on the solid ground of his character, not the shaky sand of being infallible. In a relationship, this creates a dynamic of mutual growth. When you can turn to your partner after a misunderstanding and say, "You were right, I handled that poorly, I see it now," you do not lose authority. You gain immense respect. You demonstrate that the truth is more important to you than your pride. A woman feels seen and valued when her perspective is not just heard but integrated. She feels she is partnering with a man who is wise enough to know he does not have all the answers, creating a team that is smarter and stronger together. Her respect for you deepens because your confidence is not a fragile mask that needs constant protection, but a living, adaptable strength that is capable of evolution. Her submission in this context is a willing alignment with a man who is committed to growing alongside her, a leader who is humble enough to be guided by wisdom, no matter where he finds it. To cultivate this, practice actively seeking out perspectives that challenge your own. When your partner offers a critique, before you react, take a breath and ask yourself, is there a seed of truth here I can learn from? Make it a habit to acknowledge what you do not know. The Stoic sage is not the one who knows everything, but the one who is endlessly curious, forever a student of life. This intellectual humility makes you not weaker, but immeasurably stronger, a man whose strength is rooted in reality, not in the defense of a perfect illusion. Indecision is a subtle form of self-abandonment. The 18th Stoic frame, the frame of decisive action, calls you back to yourself. It is the virtue of moving from thought to committed action with clarity and purpose, a practice the Stoics called acting with a reserved clause. This means you make the best decision you can with the information available, while fully accepting that the outcome is not entirely in your hands. You act, but you reserve your inner peace from being dependent on the result. A man who hesitates, who endlessly weighs pros and cons for even minor choices, broadcasts a deep uncertainty. He is asking the world for a guarantee that will never come. But a man who can assess a situation, filter it through his principles, and then move forward projects a competence that is deeply reassuring. Think about the simple act of choosing a restaurant. One man spends 20 minutes scrolling through reviews, paralyzed by the fear of making a wrong choice, putting the entire mental burden on his date. The decisive man, having considered her preferences, offers two solid options and makes a clear choice. The evening moves forward smoothly without friction. This same principle applies to a genuine crisis. When a difficult situation arises, a decisive man does not freeze or panic. He calmly assesses what is within his control, formulates a plan, and takes the first logical step. He is not omnipotent, but he is oriented towards solutions. This ability to navigate uncertainty is a primal signal of a capable leader and protector. A woman observing this sees a man who can be relied upon when life becomes challenging. She feels an immense sense of psychological safety, knowing that in a storm, he will be the one to chart a course, not add to the chaos. Her willingness to follow his lead is a natural response to this demonstrated reliability. It is not a submission to control, but an alignment with competence. To cultivate this, practice making small decisions quickly and without regret. What to wear, what to eat for lunch, which route to take home. In each choice, you are training your judgment muscle and reinforcing that your peace is not shattered by an imperfect outcome. When you face larger decisions, use the Stoic dichotomy. Ask yourself, what parts of this are within my control? Focus your energy there, make your choice, and then release the attachment to how it will all turn out. Your decisive action, rooted in this inner calm, becomes a silent promise that you can handle life, and that is a promise that makes any woman feel utterly secure. Your emotional landscape is your own sovereign territory. This 19th frame, the frame of emotional boundaries, is the Stoic practice of guarding the gates of your own mind. It is the vital skill of being present and empathetic without absorbing the chaotic weather of another person's emotional state, especially a woman's. A man who masters this does not become cold or distant. In fact, his empathy deepens because it is not clouded by a frantic need to fix her feelings or a personal fear of her discomfort. He can listen to her frustration about her day without making her frustration his own. He can sit with her sadness without collapsing into a matching state of despair. He offers a calm harbor, not a matching storm. This ability to remain an unshakable anchor while she navigates her own emotional waves provides a level of security that is almost unheard of in modern relationships. She feels free to express the full spectrum of her feelings, knowing that her temporary mood will not capsize the entire ship. There is no walking on eggshells, no fear that her bad day will become his bad day and then spiral into a conflict. Her emotional experience is met with understanding, but her emotional state is not allowed to dictate the climate of the relationship. This stable presence solidifies your leadership position because it demonstrates that your inner peace is not for sale to the highest bidder of drama. You are the steady point of reference in a world of flux. Her submission is a profound relief, a conscious choice to dock her ship in your harbor because she trusts its foundations are built on bedrock, not on the shifting sands of reactive emotion. To cultivate this, you must first learn to recognize the subtle difference between compassion and enmeshment. Compassion says, "I see your pain and I am here with you." Enmeshment says, "Your pain is now my pain and I must make it go away for both of us." When she is upset, practice holding space, listen fully, validate her experience by acknowledging it. You might say, "I can see how that would be incredibly frustrating." Then, consciously return to your own center, take a quiet breath and feel your own feet on the ground. Remind yourself that her feelings are her journey to process, and your role is to be the lighthouse, not to become the storm. This emotional sovereignty is the ultimate act of service, creating a relationship where both people are free to be fully human without fearing they will break the other. A mask is a heavy thing to wear, and a man who takes his off reveals a strength far beyond the one he was hiding. The 20th Stoic frame is the frame of authentic expression, the courage to live in truth. This is not about impulsively blurting out every thought or using vulnerability as a tactic. It is the quiet power of a man who expresses his genuine self from the unshakable foundation of his inner citadel. He shares his thoughts because they are true, not because they are popular. He states his desires clearly because he owns them, not because he demands they be fulfilled. He can even express appropriate vulnerability, not as a plea for sympathy, but as a testament to his trust in her and his own resilience. Imagine the difference between two men on a date. One man nods along with everything she says, tailoring his opinions to mirror hers, afraid to reveal a perspective that might cause friction. His energy is one of calculation and fear. The other man listens respectfully, but when asked for his view on a complex topic, he shares his honest opinion, even if it differs from hers. He does it with a calm, open demeanor, not to provoke a debate, but to offer a piece of his true mind. This authenticity is a powerful filter. It may not win over every person, but it magnetically attracts the right ones. A woman of substance recognizes this honesty as the bedrock of trust. She knows that a man who is not afraid to be himself, with all his quirks and convictions, is a man who cannot be manipulated or swayed by shallow social pressures. His genuine expression makes her feel she is interacting with a real person, not a performance, and that reality is the only ground upon which a deep connection can be built. Her trust grows because his words are a reliable map to his inner world. There is no guesswork, no decoding of mixed signals. This reliability allows her to feel safe enough to let her own guard down, to offer her own authentic self in return. Her submission is a gift to this realness, a willing alignment with a man who has proven, through his consistent truthfulness, that he is a sanctuary for her true self as well. To practice this, start in low-stakes environments. Express a minor preference you would normally keep to yourself. Voice a thoughtful opinion in a group conversation without attachment to how it is received. Each time you choose authenticity over approval, you strengthen the muscle of your genuine character. You become a man whose presence is not a performance, but an invitation into a world that is refreshingly and powerfully real. A broken-down car on the side of the road reveals more about a man's character than 1,000 conversations ever could. This is the 21st frame, the frame of resourcefulness and problem-solving, a living expression of the core Stoic principle that the obstacle is the way. It is the practiced ability to meet a challenge not with panic or complaint, but with a calm, analytical mind that immediately begins seeking a path forward. The man who embodies this does not see a problem as a personal offense or a reason to despair. He sees it as a puzzle to be solved, an opportunity to demonstrate his competence in real time. When the power goes out during a storm, he is the one quietly finding the flashlights and suggesting a game by candlelight. When a reservation falls through on a date, he immediately has a charming backup plan, turning a potential disappointment into a spontaneous adventure. His energy remains steady and solution-oriented. This calm capability speaks directly to a woman's most primal instincts. For thousands of generations, a woman's survival and the survival of her children depended on her ability to select a mate who could not only provide resources but, more importantly, could navigate the unpredictable challenges of a dangerous world. A man who falls apart when the plan crumbles signals danger, but a man who remains unshaken and resourceful signals safety on the deepest possible level. He is a capable protector not because he fights off predators, but because he confidently handles the modern-day chaos of flat tires, cancelled flights, and emotional upheavals. His mind is a tool that builds solutions out of problems. In his presence, a woman feels she can finally exhale. She does not have to manage his emotional state or take charge of the situation herself. She can relax into her feminine energy, trusting that the man beside her has the mental fortitude and practical skill to handle life's inevitable curveballs. Her submission is an instinctual response to this demonstrated competence. It is a willing yielding to a leader who has proven, through action, that he can be trusted to navigate the unknown. You cultivate this not by waiting for a crisis, but by reframing your daily irritations. The next time you are stuck in traffic, instead of fuming, see it as a test of your patience and a chance to listen to an audiobook you enjoy. When a work project hits an unexpected snag, approach it as a puzzle that will sharpen your skills. Each small practice in turning a setback into a stepping stone builds the neural pathways of resourcefulness. You are training your mind to default to solutions, not to frustration. When this becomes your nature, your very presence communicates a silent, powerful promise that no matter what happens, you will find a way through. And that is the kind of man a woman feels utterly secure in following. A caged bird stays, but its song is never truly for you. This is the 22nd Stoic frame, the frame of respect for autonomy, a profound recognition that every individual is the sovereign ruler of their own inner world. The Stoics believed that our only true possession is our faculty of choice, our will. To try and dominate another person's will is not only futile, it is a violation of the natural order and a sign of deep insecurity. A man who is grounded in his own purpose and self-worth does not feel threatened by a woman's independence. He does not need to clip her wings to feel that he can fly. Instead, he actively encourages her ambitions, celebrates her successes, and supports her journey toward her own goals. He sees her not as an extension of himself, but as a complete and separate individual on a parallel path. This creates a dynamic of radical trust. She feels that her dreams are safe with him, that her growth is not a threat to the relationship but a vital part of it. When a man is not trying to control her, her every action becomes a choice, and when she chooses him again and again, that choice is imbued with profound meaning. Her submission is not extracted through fear or obligation, but offered freely as a testament to the respect and freedom he provides. It is a willing alignment with a man who is so secure in his own frame that he can honor hers. This voluntary gift of her trust and cooperation is infinitely more powerful than any form of coerced compliance. It is born from admiration for a man who is strong enough to be non-possessive and wise enough to understand that the most beautiful things in life, including a woman's heart, cannot be taken, only freely given. To embody this, shift your focus from what you can get from her to what you can contribute to her growth. Be the man who asks, what are you working on that excites you, and how can I help you get there? When you become a catalyst for her freedom rather than a warden of her limitations, you create a bond that is not based on dependency, but on mutual empowerment and deep, unwavering respect. This transformation is not about learning new tricks, but about becoming a different kind of man entirely. You began this journey seeking approval from the outside, chasing the fleeting validation of likes and matches. But by embodying these 25 Stoic frames, you have shifted from a man who needs to a man who provides. Your presence becomes a source of stability in a chaotic world, a clear direction in a sea of uncertainty. You are no longer a question looking for an answer, but a statement grounded in your own unshakable truth. Feminine submission, in its deepest and most beautiful sense, is the natural and willing response to this authentic masculine leadership. It is not a fearful surrender to control, but a conscious choice to trust, to follow, and to open up to a man whose inner citadel is so strong that it provides safety for her own spirit to flourish. Her gift of submission is a testament to the sanctuary you have built through your character. This is the ultimate Stoic promise that by focusing solely on what is within your control, your judgment, your integrity, your actions, you become the kind of man to whom everything truly valuable is naturally drawn. Your journey does not end here, it begins. Pick one frame, just one, and practice it with relentless consistency. Build your inner citadel brick by daily brick and watch as your entire world and every relationship within it transforms.